Hello my friends, it's Ranger Russ from the Meigs Nature Center with another episode of My Favorite Animal. Before we get into that, I want to remind everybody you need to visit meigspointnaturecenter.org's calendar of events to see all of the great Saturday programs we have coming up. And if you see one that you want to watch on Zoom, there are directions from the calendar on how to get the Zoom link, or you can watch them on Facebook Live. So make sure you go check out that calendar. It's at meigspointnaturecenter.org under programs, and then you'll see calendar. Click on the date of the program that you're interested in, and it gives more details of the program and how to get the Zoom link. We only can take 100 people in our Zoom conferences, so make sure you sign up ahead of time if you want the Zoom link. Otherwise, you can follow it at Facebook Live. Now, these programs will continue Tuesday through Friday at 11 o'clock here on Facebook. Also, I'm going to ask everyone to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm looking for 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I've got over 10,000 subscribers on Facebook, but I can't reach any sort of numbers here on YouTube. So as soon as we get YouTube going, we'll be doing YouTube Live as well as Facebook Live programs. Now, the weather here today is absolutely beautiful. The sun is out, the red crossbills are in the trees. It's a great day to be at Hammonasset. Tomorrow, it's probably going to be a bit different. If the snow starts before my program, I'm going to be out plowing, so no program tomorrow. And if it's still snowing on Friday, I'll be plowing then as well, plowing and or shoveling. So don't count on a program for the next 2 days. I have no idea what this storm is actually going to bring. All right, let's get into my favorite animal. And my favorite animal today is an animal that I was able to film last year now. Last year, I was able to film this animal. I talked a little bit about it, but now we're getting into more detail about, actually that's why I'm sort of standing like this, because I'm blocking it. I don't know if anybody can see it behind me. There. I've hidden the animal. You ready to see what it is? We have, let me say thank you to everybody that's putting up where you're messaging from. And I'd like weather reports from everybody, because I'm hearing that across the country there's big sections that are still out of power. Cold fronts and snow in Texas. I even heard that Mexico is having such a cold front they're not able to keep up with it either with electricity and other things. So, all right, let's take a look at the animal. You can see, obviously, it's a bird. There's the wing. And it is a snow goose. Now, right off, I want to thank, we had this snow goose donated. This is a mounted snow goose. It was donated to the Nature Center. It's really good shape. I'm going to clean it a little bit. I've ordered some cleaning solutions so I can clean the feathers up a little bit. They do get dust on them when they've sat for a while. So we'll just clean that dust off and make it look nice. But snow geese, they're really impressive animals. First of all, they can fly very quickly. 50 miles an hour, they can fly in level flight. So that's faster than a peregrine falcon in level flight. That's why peregrine falcons have to dive, because they can't catch a bird just chasing after it. They have to dive into it. Now, we do occasionally, very occasionally, get snow geese here at Hammonasset, and even more occasionally, we get Ross's geese in Connecticut. Very rare to see them in Connecticut, but a major difference and a pretty easy way to tell. I'm going to see if I can turn this so you can get a bit of a profile of the beak there. The Ross goose, that was squeaky. The Ross goose has a very short beak and it goes pretty straight down. So a very short stubby beak compared to the snow goose. The Ross's goose is also much, much smaller than a snow goose. And they get a bit of a different pattern under the wing. So you see that nice black there. The Ross's goose has black under the wing as well, but the snow goose, it comes further in, and a lot of times you're not going to see this nice distinct line that we have here with the snow goose. This happens to be a mature one. So like many birds, as they mature, their feather pattern changes and they get different colors. So this really nice distinct line, that's a mature goose, where if it were blended, if that were into gray across the wing, then we would know it's a juvenile or an immature goose. Now, an amazing thing about these geese, right after they hatch out, so this bird hatches out of its egg, and it immediately, within that first day, it's able to walk. And they will be able to walk 50 miles in one day. So they've been known hatching out of their nest that day and then heading off for the feeding grounds, because the geese spread out and lay their nests all over the tundra. And then when they hatch out, they go to the best feeding spots. So they've been known, a baby goose, a day old, walked 50 miles. Think about that. Now, we all know about like a giraffe that can get up and start running at a couple of hours, and gazelles and all those cool animals like that. They can do it. It's a day and they're already running around. But many people don't realize that birds can do the same thing. Right out of the egg, boom, they start walking and they're cruising along. Now, the adults have an amazing migration too. They can migrate 1,000 miles in a day. And they will fly day and night. That's why they're able to do it. So they'll fly right through the night sometimes for their migration. And at 50 miles an hour, with a tailwind, which would make you even faster, that's how they get up to those massive numbers. So typically their migration is going to be, I think they said 3,000 to 4,000 miles total. So they can cover that time. Now they're not going to fly 24 hours straight for 4 days. These are not non-stop migrators. They will stop and get food. They will stop at feeding grounds, and they may spend an afternoon there, or they may spend a full day feeding. But it is possible for them to get their entire 4,000-mile migration done in 5 or 6 days. That's impressive. Okay? We do it in cars, but they're flying. It's just amazing. So typically these guys are going to have between 2 and 6 eggs. Many times, though, only one young is able to fledge and begin to fly. It only takes them 45 to 50 days from the time they hatch to the time that they can fly. So they are on the ground during that time. Now, adult birds, when they molt, so an adult goose, when it molts, it's not able to fly either. And the predators on these, it's primarily just the Arctic fox. There are birds called jaggers up there that will eat the babies, but the adults, it's fox. The babies, it's fox, and these jaggers, it's a predatory bird. But the amazing thing is, when they're molting and when they're young, they can outrun most of their prey. So it's pretty impressive to think of a goose outrunning a fox, but a molting goose can outrun a fox on the ground. I wish I had a miles per hour for that, but they can outrun a fox. That's impressive to me. I know fox are pretty quick. I could not catch a fox just by chasing it. So these are primarily herbivores. They will occasionally eat insects, so there are some insects they will eat, but it's mostly seeds and parts of plants. That's their main food. And they eat aquatic plants as well. So they will feed out sometimes you'll see them in farmers' fields in Vermont. That's the place that I've seen them most often, are in farmers' fields up in Vermont. The mist seed that ends up on the ground they will eat that. So corn and things like that. Looks like someone has a question, location in Connecticut to watch them. So they are rare in Connecticut again. They will occasionally show up here at the park. Typically you're going to see them during migration season, so fall and spring. A few years ago we had, I want to say 9 or 10 of them here in the park. They were hanging out with Canada geese, and the lone one that I saw this last fall was with a flock of Canada geese as well. So you're probably not going to see the flocks that they used to have. Now this is a good time to talk about this. These birds were very heavily hunted, and in the 50s their numbers hit so low, they were set at such low numbers that they had to stop hunting them. That was great for them. They were able to come back, and in 1975, I think it was, they opened up hunting again on them. But from that point, since 1975 to date, now a lot of this has to do with the fact that snow goose are hunted less than other geese. Their numbers have continued to increase from 1975 to date. Their numbers have steadily gone up. That's great news. Now their biggest threat is not hunting, it's actually loss of habitat. So again, they're up in the tundra. As our developing moves closer to that, also in their migration, if we are filling in fields or putting housing developments into fields and open spaces where they would like to feed, we're impacting their migration or their ability to migrate. All right, large gatherings of snow geese at Dead Creek Refuge every year. Viewing platform. I don't know where Dead Creek Refuge is. I don't think it's in Connecticut, but that sounds cool. Yeah, there are places where you can see thousands of these migrating, but Connecticut is not one of them. Again, usually we're going to see them buddying up with some Canada geese. Now, they're actually pretty long-lived for a bird. The record in the wild was 27 years. I believe it was a goose that was found. It was tagged when it was young or banded when it was young and found in 1999, and it was 27 years old. So that's pretty impressive. Let me see if we've got any other questions that I missed. I see a wow. Ooh, weather. Won't hit 30 for a few days. Raining in Florida. It's warm though, that's good. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions, so. Oh, that refuge is in Addison County in northern Vermont. And Vermont is a much better place to see snow geese, I'm going to say. That is the place that I've seen the most snow geese. And there are times that you just see it looks like snow out in a farmer's field. There are so many of them. All right, any other questions? What else can I tell you about snow geese? We talked about what eats them. We talked about what they eat. How fast they fly. Does anybody have any other questions? Something that I learned today, just doing a little bit of research on them. What's the different geese? I'm not sure what you mean by the different geese. I think you just mean what kinds of different geese we have. The Ross's goose looks very similar to the snow goose, but smaller. We have Canada geese, which are our largest geese, and then we have Brant and occasionally a barnacle goose, which are smaller, usually saltwater geese here in Connecticut. So one of the things I did find out about the snow goose is they have a very fast digestive system, which means food passes through them within an hour or less than an hour. They can actually go to the bathroom, I think they said 5 to 15 times an hour. So if you think about them walking through a field eating grass, they are putting down a lot of goose slicks. We used to call them goose slicks because we would slip on them when I was a kid. But yeah, those little goose droppings, they will produce a lot of that. Canada geese do as well. I don't know if it's as fast as the snow goose, but that was one of the significant things about a snow goose. Let's see, can they? Good question. Can they breed? So, let me read the rest of this. A hybrid would look very cool. As far as I know, a snow goose and a Canada goose can't hybridize. I believe a snow goose and a Ross goose can, and the hybrids, because they look so similar, the hybrids are really hard to tell them apart. You can't really tell a hybrid very well. I do know that there is a blue morph of the snow goose, and the head is usually white, but the rest of the body turns to this blue-black color, and the entire rest of it will be this blue-black color. The morph doesn't have to be completely blue, but patches of it as well. So they do come in a different color variety, which is pretty cool. I've never seen one myself, but I think that looking at the pictures, it's a pretty beautiful bird. All right, let's see other questions. Do they have a nest, and what do they make it out of? So they do nest in the tundra, so they're ground nesters, and they're just going to make it of the twiggy brush of the area where they are nesting. So the small tundra brush, they're going to just build a little nest out of that. And did I miss another one? That was the hybrid one. So, okay, I think I'm all caught up. Now, another thing that's really cool about these, I probably talked about this in the video, and I'm going to encourage everyone to go back and look at the video of the live one that we had here in the park. But another really cool thing about them is they will do a lookout. They will have a lookout. So when they're in their really large flocks migrating, some of them will not be eating. Some of them act as lookouts. They're constantly scanning for predators. Actually, I should have mentioned that as a predator. Peregrine falcons have been known to take these. So they do have to look out from above. But typically they're looking out for, again, the fox. So when they're migrating, though, they have designated lookouts. I found that absolutely fascinating. There's a few of them that, okay, I can't eat now, you guys all eat. I don't know how they communicate that to one another or how they determine how many lookouts they have. These are all questions researchers need to find out. So if any of you kids out there want to be a scientist, there's something to find out. How do snow geese communicate who's going to be the lookout, who's going to eat, and how many lookouts they need? I think that would be really fascinating. But when they lookout sees something, they do an alarm call. They do have a special, I don't know if you can call it a honk. Typically we say goose honk. But they have a special alarm call, and then the entire flock just takes off in a flash. So I say that because when I filmed the one earlier, I felt like that one was acting like a lookout for the Canada geese that were all feeding around it, and it was primarily just looking out. And Canada geese, when the snow goose gives its alarm, the Canada geese will also take flight. So they have learned the snow goose's alarm call and will clear out afterwards. And what else can I tell you? They nest in the tundra, but when is their nesting season? April to June up in the tundra. So we can see them migrating through Connecticut through March. Typically by April we're not going to see any more here in Connecticut. So April to June is their breeding season up in the tundra. And they do have to take care of their young, those 40, 45, or 50 days after they hatch. They do have to, the adults will take care of them and try and protect them. An adult snow goose could fend off those birds I mentioned earlier, the jaggers, a snow goose is bigger and could fend those off. So the parents will protect. And so here's something, and I don't remember where I saw this, but I believe there's a video out there somewhere. I don't think it's on YouTube. I think it was a TV show special that I saw of a snow goose fighting off an Arctic fox, an adult snow goose chasing an Arctic fox away because it was protecting its young. And then the male came in, and it really gave that fox something, and he took off and was not able to get any food that day. All right, any other questions? Taxidermist does a very good job. Yes, they do. So this will be mounted up. This is a new acquisition during COVID. So when we are able to open up, you will see this mounted. Haven't decided exactly where I want it, but I have a good idea where I'd like to put it. But you'll have to come and visit and see the snow goose mounted. We have several new mounts actually since COVID that you'll be able to see, and I'll be doing a program on a couple of them coming up, so make sure you look out for those. All right, so again, I want to remind everybody, Saturday's program is going to be lots of fun. We've got so many programs though. Saturdays at 10 o'clock. We're booked through March. Actually, I think the last weekend in March may be still open, but we're booking up March, we're booking April. We've got plenty of ideas for June. For May. I've got one idea for June. So lots of programs, lots of interesting topics. Please go to meigspointnaturecenter.org, visit the calendar. If you see one of them that you're interested in, you can sign up for the Zoom link or watch it on Facebook Live. These programs will continue Tuesday through Friday at 11 o'clock. And again, I have a very special guest next Tuesday. Should I tell everybody who it is? Next Tuesday, we have our Deputy Commissioner of the DEP is going to be coming on to talk about his job and some of the ideas. That's Mason Trumbull. We're looking at starting that at 1:15, so hopefully we'll be right on time for that, but he's a very busy person, so it may start at 1:30, but we should have enough time to get him on by 1:15. So look for that not next Tuesday, it's next Wednesday, the 24th. Look for our guest. All right. I'm not seeing any other questions, so I want to thank everybody for tuning in this morning. And again, if there's snow, we've got storms, I won't be able to do a program. I might do one from the truck as I'm plowing. If I see something interesting, I'll try and stop and get that for you. But until next time, this is Ranger Russ signing off from the Meigs Point Nature Center.